Good morning, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Welcome into Coffee Break, presented by Superbook Sports. D-Mac, how are you? What's new, my friend?
I'm doing
I didn't
good,
hang out with
Rach.
you last night, so I'm like, all right, well, what are we doing?
I know. And the stupid Kraken won. The
I
stupid
know.
Kraken won in overtime. They had a big lead, they gave it up, and then they won in overtime. That should have been us.
I know. I tweeted it out. I was watching the game, obviously it going super late, but I was watching and I was just like, oh, it's killer. It's just heartbreaking. So I can't imagine being any of the Avalanche players that
I
are
mean,
actually watching
it's.
it.
I guess I gotta just hand it to the Kraken. They win 3 out of 4 games on the road against the Avs. They go without hardly any rest at all,
Yep.
and go on the road in Dallas and win in overtime. I mean, okay, you're really starting to impress me at this point.
Is it a worse look for the Avs that they go into overtime and, with the Stars and they go in? Or is it a better look for the Avs because the Kraken just continue to dominate? I mean, the fact that they put up 5 goals, I'm like, good for you guys.
No, it's definitely worse because you can see that the Avalanche, if they certainly were good enough to beat the Kraken, and they didn't. And maybe this is disheartening because maybe they really were good enough to beat the Stars too.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, the further the Kraken go, the more frustrating it gets for the Avalanche,
Yep.
because maybe the Avalanche were actually better than we actually thought. We were all kind of writing off the Avs, like, well, they weren't going to win the cup anyways. And then a team that they were definitely superior to, despite all the problems the Avalanche had, they were still a better team than the Kraken. They played better in Game 7 than the Kraken did, and they lost.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little disheartening for me to think that, I don't know, maybe they were good enough to at least get to the Western Conference Final. And I don't know. It's just a bummer. We should have been hanging out together last night at Ball Arena. The season's over. It's when you think about what a long, fun stretch of action we had last year. It began like right now. Like This was the time it started against the Predators, and all of that's just done. But at least we have the Nuggets.
True. And I see Tommy says in the comments, if you beat me, you better win. Okay, so are you rooting for the Kraken? Because I was this way last year with the Nuggets and the Warriors. I was like, all right, if the Warriors are going to knock the Nuggets out, I want them to go all the way so that no team can be like, well, we would have beat you too.
I mean, it'd feel better, I guess, to know you lost to a better team.
Yeah.
But nah, I think for the vast majority of the NHL playoffs, I'll keep a side eye to it. It just I can't do it. I can't just sit there and watch hockey. That the Avalanche are out of it. It's not that I won't pay attention to what's going on. I know the Leafs lost 4-2 to the Panthers last night, and that's tough for our guy Orlando Franklin, who's wearing like his Maple Leafs gear yesterday. But yeah, I don't know. When your team is competitive and they bow out earlier than you think, it's tough. It's a tough thing to consume.
Yeah.
For me, at least.
100%. I'm surprised though that you say you can't just sit and watch hockey, because last night, I mean, that game was so fun to watch because of the comeback that Dallas had, and then of course going into overtime where you're just like, what's gonna happen?
I have petty, bitter feelings, Rachel. I can't contain them. I'm a small person, physically and maybe emotionally. So it's too much to bear. So I watch. I don't know. I watch basketball. Because I wanted to. I'm curious who the between the Lakers and Golden State, who the Nuggets might face next. And that was an interesting game. Obviously, the Warriors made a big comeback to make it interesting. The Lakers won. I think the Nuggets would beat either team. The Warriors just lost a game at home. So, I mean, okay. And I think they're both good teams, obviously. And I think the Nuggets are better than both of those teams.
What'd you think of Jordan Poole's shot?
At the end, the three to, it's he had an open look. I mean, he's
so far off the arc, though. I mean, so far.
Well, they doubled Steph, and they couldn't get him the ball. You want Klay Thompson or Steph to take that shot, but they basically were saying anybody but those guys. And so, hey, that's good defense. I mean, that's a long shot, but for these guys, Rachel, it's not crazy. These guys hit shots like that all the time, and especially when it's wide open. It might look crazy, but for these guys, it's just not that. It's really not that big of a deal. You give an NBA player of that talent an open look like that, he's going to hit that shot with an open look probably 6 out of 10 times. It's the contested threes that are a little bit more difficult. You give a guy an open look, he's going to make it 6 out of 10 times.
True. All right, well, let's move on to the other news involving the Nuggets and the basketball side of the world, with Embiid winning his very first MVP. And D-Mac, I decided if Jokic doesn't care, hell, I don't care, and congratulations to Embiid on winning it.
Excuse me. It wasn't what I realized. It wasn't just MVP. What this really was a coronation. And the NBA establishment decided not to crown King Jokic because only 3 other players, Larry Bird, Bill Russell, and Wilt Chamberlain, have ever won 3 in a row. So it wasn't about were you the best player this year, the MVP. It was whether you deserve to be joining those 3 as only the 4th player ever to do it. And the NBA collective said, no, you don't deserve that. And I think that's a shame. I think some writers were bullied into thinking like that. I don't think they were looking at it fairly. And I think they caved. A lot of them caved. There was a couple guys. There was at least one guy who left Jokic off the top 5, which is, absolutely absurd. And, it wasn't really all that close. It was like, 73 votes for Embiid and 15 votes for Jokic for first place. And, Jokic had the vast majority of the second place votes. It was a farce. He deserved to be in that club with Bird, Bill Russell, and Wilt Chamberlain because he had accomplished what it took to accomplish to get there. And to be denied it for such petty reasons, makes me a little bit sick to my stomach.
And I'm not trying to take away anything from Jokic, because obviously Jokic fans stand with Jokic. When we look back in 50 years, do you think people are going to remember Nikola Jokic? Not here in Denver, being here in Denver, but say you're in Miami, say you're in San Francisco and Oakland. Are they going to remember Nikola Jokic?
Well, now it depends on if he wins championships or not and how many championships. So the MVP thing would have been significant and would have put him in an exclusive class. Now he's got to sort of rise above it. It took many years for Shaquille O'Neal to win an NBA championship, and he played for 20 years. So I think Shaq played for 20 years and he won 4 NBA championships to be considered one of the biggest, best big men of all time. Sure. So, are we going to remember Jokic? Only if he puts up a career like Shaquille O'Neal. But he has said many times, Jokic has said that he has no goals or ambition to do anything like that. I think Jokic, who is, what is Jokic, 27, 28, something like that?
I think 27.
27. I could see him maybe playing till he was 35. Maybe. But that's it. And even that probably, Rachel, is a stretch. The guy just, I don't think he has any goals or ambitions to have that kind of legacy. I think he does want to win, and I think he'll give it his best to win, and I think he'll be a Nugget for life. I think all those things are true. I just don't think he's going to overextend himself for a career that, he doesn't need to. He has unbelievable wealth as it stands right now, and I think he'll just play out his contract with the Nuggets. And maybe Jay could even help us out. I don't know how many more years he has with the Nuggets or what that looks like. But my guess is he has, 7 years left, something like that, which would put him right around 35.
I see Clint's comment, and it says he'll win 3 straight MVPs: regular season, and finals. And I love that.
Well, okay. Well, that would be great. I'll take that. That's what you really want to win. You want to win the NBA Finals MVP. That's the real trophy to win. It was like, listen, I get it. It's more important to win that trophy than the regular season MVP. It's just a disappointment because he did everything it took to earn a 3rd straight MVP. It wasn't a gift. His team was in first place. He averaged a triple-double. He did everything that if you look at numbers, not that Embiid had bad numbers, he certainly didn't. But, Jokic had more consistent, better numbers across the board in almost every category you can think of. He played more games. They had a better results as a team, the triple doubles, all that sort of stuff.
How much do you think the one game that they did play against each other back, what was it, December? Was it
Yeah,
in
I think that
December?
had a big. I think there were two major things: that game and Perkins, and the fallout from Perkins, and don't forget, Embiid tapped out of the game here in Denver. He hid in a broom closet rather than being on the bench and playing in the game, and miraculously was okay to play in the Sixers' next game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think so. Maybe three things. He definitely won the one battle in Philly. Kendrick Perkins and all that controversy helped him, and he ducked Jokic at the end of the year. Okay, you win, and he campaigned for it, and he's on the East Coast, and he's a great player. So it all came together for him.
Okay, well, we do have the video of him finding out that he did win MVP. So, like I said in the headline, Jokic doesn't care. Neither do I. Roll the clip.
Wow. Tonight, 2023 MVP from the Philadelphia 76ers. Yeah!
And that is one thing where you see somebody who gets so emotional over something that they want so bad, and sometimes you're just like, all right, have it, because the other person doesn't care. And Jokic doesn't care. We never saw Jokic get emotional. We never saw Jokic want to do it in front of the fans. I know he did it the one year, and then the other time he just didn't want to. So, you know what? Give it to the guy that's going to get emotional. At the end of the day, Jokic, all he wants is the championship, and hopefully they're able to accomplish that.
The Sixers just won the other day without him. I mean, Rachel, can you imagine the Nuggets winning without Jokic?
No. And that's scary, actually.
So, whatever. It's done. There was a lot of amping up to it. There's a lot of drama that went with it. I'm happy that it was decided now. It's at a good point in the playoffs to put a chip on their shoulders if the Nuggets needed anything else. So they got that too. So, okay, cool. Got it. Check. We see what's up.
I feel an emotional attachment to this just a little bit from you, D-Mac. But
I was hurt. Like, we were doing it live on the air, and it was just, it feels like a gut punch. And it feels like the reasons behind it just, you know what? That's it. You were right in the very beginning. If he doesn't care that much about it, why should we care that much about it? And there's bigger fish to fry. It was great for him to win it 2 years in a row, well deserved. And now there's no question what the Nuggets really want to do. Get rid of the Suns. They look to just be pesky. Move through the Warriors or the Lakers. And let's get to the NBA Finals for the first time in organization history. And I think the team is set up brilliantly to do so.
Yep, that was my thing last night. Is I was all pissed off for a few minutes, and I was like, I saw actually the Denver Nuggets tweet, and they said something like, it was a good day to go swimming, or like something along those lines. I'd retweeted.
Well, yeah, Jokic said that when it was being announced, it was a nice day. He'd be swimming in his pool.
Yeah.
And then Orlando Franklin, kind of in a somewhat creepy way, said how nice the pool actually was, as if Orlando's been swimming in Jokic's pool. But, I can't tell with these rich people. Maybe they all know each other. Maybe all the rich people swim.
Ask him if he's known, like if he's swimming in that pool.
I don't know how it works over in Cherry Hills Village or wherever they live. I don't know where the rich people live, Rachel. I don't get invited to those parties. But if Orlando says it's a nice pool, I'll take his word for it.
Okay. Well, now I have questions for Orlando Franklin for sure. Chris Paul has been out. They're going to reevaluate this groin injury after a week. And I think the Nuggets really need Chris Paul in order to advance this series at all. But I'm curious of your take on it.
I think they're toast. They don't have any depth whatsoever. They don't have a fifth starter. They have no bench. Their bench scored 4 points in the last game. And, of the big four, they're down 1. So it's not like they have somebody else to step up. Like, if this were to happen to the Nuggets, Bruce Brown would step up and he would be a virtual starter. Just like that. You really wouldn't miss a beat. But they don't have that luxury. They don't have those players. They gave all those players away to have Kevin Durant.
Yep.
And the truth is, if Durant and Booker now have to combine, Rachel, for probably, they've had 59 and 56 points. They probably got to combine for 70 points, the two of them. It's wild. But they probably have to combine for 70 points to give the Suns a shot. So if they combine for 70 points, yeah, okay, fine. And if they do that, Rachel, they still have to hope that the Nuggets have an off shooting night like they did the other night. I mean, just scoring 70 between the two of those guys is not enough. They've got to hope that the Nuggets are also off. So I'm not saying that can't happen, because it definitely could. I mean, there's no doubt Booker or Durant can go for, say, 40, 42 points, and the other guy can go for 28. I mean, that can definitely happen.
Yeah.
It's just hard for that to happen, and it's definitely not sustainable. I think the Suns probably pull out one game. Somehow they pull out one game. So did the Wolves. I really don't think it's going to be game 3. So I'll say it now. I think the Nuggets win game 3 Friday, and I think they drop game 4 and they finish the series in game 5. We have an absolute duplication of what happened with the Wolves.
What's the difference in feeling for you between the Wolves and the Suns? Because it just feels like I was more concerned about the T-Wolves than I am about the Suns, and it definitely feels like it should be the opposite.
I think the Wolves are a tougher challenge. I think they're bigger and stronger inside. And, I mean, that sounds weird because the Nuggets barely out-rebounded the Suns 41-39 the other night.
Yeah.
But I just think that the Wolves just take up more space. I think things are more open with the Suns. I think the Suns have, a better – I mean, they have Kevin Durant. So they have a way better player. And Booker you could argue is better than Anthony Edwards, or you could say at least it's a push. So it's not like they don't have superior talent. They do. But they don't have the right matchup against the Nuggets. I think the only thing that would really work against the Nuggets is a big, tall, long team to take up space. And if you don't have that going for you, you're in trouble. And even against teams like that, like the Cavaliers are a team like that, the Nuggets still found a way to beat a team like that. So Rachel, here's the simple truth. If the Nuggets are on, forget it. They're the best team in the world. Yeah. They will win the NBA championship because when they're playing well, they are by far the best team in the world this year. No doubt about it.
No, I agree. And I think what AG's done with Kevin Durant has been fantastic. And to be honest, and I know people always say, oh, that's not the truth. It feels a little bit like the Nuggets overlooked the T-Wolves just a smidge, just a little bit. And we're preparing for the Suns with just how well defensively they've matched up. And it just seems like they just know exactly what the Suns are going to do, it feels like. And what's crazy is it feels like they've dominated, and yet the games have been relatively close up until the very end.
I think Malone's done a good job preparing them. I think you got a guy like Bruce Brown who's very close and played with Kevin Durant, and he knows his tendencies. I think the Nuggets and the Suns are a terrific matchup for the Nuggets. I mean, Rachel, every team at this level is going to have some sort of superstar player. You don't get to this level in the NBA if you don't have really good players. So the Nuggets do too. Again, I call this the Walter White theory. It's I am the danger. I am the one who knocks. This is right out of Breaking Bad. It's not like the Nuggets are afraid of anybody. Other teams have to be afraid of them. This is very similar to the Avalanche when Jared Bednar would say, "We're the dangerous team, not the other guys. They got to worry about us. We're just going to play our game." And it doesn't go without really good coaching and scouting and work and all that. That's part of all of it. But the Nuggets just have the talent and the depth, and depth matters.
Depth does indeed matter. And I think also having been there and done that matters. And I think that's why KCP is so valuable for this team.
Yeah, he's been incredible. The acquisition, and Malone talked about it the other night, like it was tough to move on from Will Barton and Monte Morris because they really liked those guys. Those were big time guys for Michael Malone. But the acquisition, I mean, moving on from those guys to get KCP, Rachel, I mean, it's a steal. It's an absolute steal. And, Calvin Booth, the GM, deserves plenty of praise. These moves happened on his watch, not on Tim Conley's. So that move alone, acquiring Bruce Brown, and the drafting of Christian Brown. I mean, you made 3 big moves that have all turned out to be fantastic. So no matter what, you brought in 2 incredible, via trade, and Bruce Brown. Jake would help me out there, but I think he was a free agent. He's only here for 1 year, which is, a bummer. But then you drafted Christian Brown, who is the only rookie even playing in the playoffs.
And I was like so anti Christian Brown, and I have a friend. My family ties to Kansas State. He's a Kansas guy, so of course I was like, I don't want Christian Brown, and he's my favorite player, 100%.
No.
I am the biggest Christian Brown fan, and I've got a friend of mine that went to Kansas too, and all the time he's like, so Rachel, how about Christian Brown, huh? And I'm like, you know what? I love him. I think he is fantastic. What he has done defensively to help this team as a rookie, I got to give credit to Kansas basketball program because, man, they know how to prepare him.
The Crayola box crew has worked out well for the Nuggets so far, no doubt.
Have you talked to anybody about getting these T-shirts yet?
No, it's
I'll do some calling for you.
Will you? Okay, all right. I want full credit.
Oh, absolutely, my friend. Are you catching a cold?
You can feel it, can't you? You can hear it. This is the first time I've actually tried to talk at an extended length, and I'm probably killing you right now. So I'm battling the best I can. I hope I'm not catching a cold. I hope it's something else, but it's definitely something's going on. So I apologize.
Please do not apologize. I know it has been many, many very long nights for you, for sure. And
I know. I woke up today and I felt fine going to bed last night. And I just woke up like, what's happening? So something's going on.
Well, and not only have you done coffee break every single day, gone to the games, you also host a 4-hour radio show every single day. So I think your voice is probably like, all right, when am I going to get a break?
You think it's catching up with me, Rachel? Is that what you're saying?
I think probably a little bit. D-Mac, you are by far the hardest worker I know. You were putting in, not just in the playoffs, all right? We were putting in crazy hours in the playoffs. You've been putting in these hours all season long.
Well, I don't mind doing it, although my body may be catching up with me here. But I think it's so unique, and it's so fun, and I love doing it. And these stories to be told, I think, are just fascinating, and I'm completely intrigued by them day in and day out. And we're going to get to a lot of great stuff eventually with the Broncos, and those stories are developing too. But I think we're incredibly lucky in this town that once there is an off season with the Broncos, that we have a couple of teams that are really fascinating to watch. And I wish we even had a third team with the Rockies, although the third team this year has clearly become CU with Coach Prime and everything he's got going on. So,
you know what?
I'll hang in there. I'll rest up the best I can, and I'll struggle through the best I can with your patience.
Okay, well, we'll bring in Jake Shapiro, so hopefully he can do a little bit of talking too, because he obviously does our Mile High Baseball podcast that airs every single Friday. Jake, good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm feeling a little better than DMAC, but I'm feeling great.
Okay, all right. All right, walk us through the best pitcher for the Rockies is no longer going to be available this season.
Yeah, Herman Marquez, very good right-handed pitcher. You could make the case that Marquez is the best pitcher in Rockies franchise history. It's right there. In fact, as Marquez goes to the injured list with a Tommy John surgery torn UCL in his right elbow, he is 2 strikeouts away from tying the all-time franchise strikeout mark and 3 away from setting it. And because Marquez is on the last year of his contract with a team option next year, basically Marquez is getting Tommy John, and we may never see him get a chance to set this all-time strikeout record, which I think is at 985, and he's at 983 right now. He's also like 10 wins short of the franchise record. He has been phenomenal since the day he was called up in 2017. The only year where he wasn't phenomenal was last year, and he was still really solid, just wasn't phenomenal. This year has been a train wreck for him. He missed the World Baseball Classic for his home country, Venezuela, because of a hamstring injury. He was okay in spring training, comes out, has a nice start or two, but after 3 starts, heads to the injured list with a arm tightness injury, which always is scary in baseball because arm tightness often leads to the next thing, which is Marquez comes back 20 days later, and then they tell him he needs Tommy John, and he'll be done for at least a year. You never know if he'll be the same. It's really sad, especially because he's been somebody who's been meaningful and one of the bright spots for the Rockies through ups and downs. So
it's so sad, and obviously you talk about the records and everything around that nature, but I mean it just sucks because he's not very old either, Jake.
No, I think he's 26 or 27. He's like my age. Him and me and Jokic are like the same age. And he's in the prime of his career. And the thing with Marquez too is, like I said, he's been in the big leagues for 8 years. He was about to hit free agency for the first time potentially this winter, if not the next winter, if the Rockies picked up the team option. This was the biggest year of his career from a personal earnings standpoint. So it's just devastating that this happens to athletes. I can't even imagine what's going through his life. And yes, he's made $50 million in his career and he's going to be all right. But if he had a great year this year, he could have gotten a new contract that was worth upwards of $150 million. It is devastating. It's the difference between you being really rich and generational wealth. So I feel terrible for him. It's also a massive loss for the Rockies, and everyone wants to make the joke, oh, they're terrible anyways. This takes them from being awful and definitely bad to possibly the worst team in baseball, or maybe even slam dunk the worst team in baseball. The projections have changed overnight, and the Rockies are now, for the first time I've ever seen by any service, the Rockies are now projected to lose 100 games in 2023. I've never seen that happen in the 31 years of Rockies.
So we are looking at the worst season ever for the Rockies.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be that. And it's funny, D-Mac. Well, it's not funny. It's really sad, actually. There was a couple bright spots going into this year that you could say, hey, at least you got this, at least you got that. And it wasn't like Todd Helton or Troy Tulowitzki in the past, but you get to watch Brendan Rodgers play. He's a good young player, whatever. He's done for the year. Herman Marquez, one of the greatest pitchers in Rockies franchise history, done for the year. They've already cut ties with Colorado kid Ty Block. Daniel Bard has got off to a bad start. Chris Bryant has been nearly nothing. They've sent Montero down to the minors. Zach Veen, their top prospect, is hitting 170 in Double-A right now.
He is?
After 270 plate appearances.
What?
You're starting to get really concerned about the top prospects for the Rockies, as well as what's already up. So I've talked about this on the Mile High Baseball podcast. This is a very, very bad year and an aberration in Rockies history for just how bad it's about to be. But
how's,
it might not be.
How's Tovar doing overall at shortstop?
He had his first home run the other night. He's been solid defensively. He looks like a rookie out there, though. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked on. So my point being is, this is the first year we've ever seen the Rockies be this bad. But we'll probably be right back here next year and maybe the year after that. It's going to take some time to get out of this hole. And this is a devastating injury for the Rockies, not only this year, but next year, because he'll likely, Marquez, be out for a majority of next year as well.
Wow.
I know it's going to sound ridiculous and people may be like, Rachel, what's the point? But is there any hope for the Rockies in the next 5 years? Because to be honest, it seems like there's never anything that changes. It's the exact same conversation around the Rockies every single season.
Well, it hasn't been. It's not been this. This is a new level of myriad mediocrity and awfulness.
So you're telling me that we've gone like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just bad before. Now we're approaching like Buffs football last year, laughing stock of the entire baseball world type deal. And we've always been an inside joke in baseball world because the Rockies operate so differently than everybody else. But 2017, 2018, 2019, even going back, 2016 when it was building, like that was exciting. 2007 through 2010, like it hasn't always been this for the Rockies, but it's starting to be like this for a while since the Arenado trade. There's been a standard here, and since the Rockies didn't go all in 2018 to try and win their first ever division, the 2019 follow up was not good. And then you look at it right now, and you're asking me where the hope is. Well, it's not this year. It's not next year. I think it's probably going to be a rough third year as well. I could see 2025 being better. But the thing is, the Rockies actually have an okay farm system. The reason why I sound so down on it right now is because two of their best prospects, Montero and Dean, are not doing well right now. The other problem with it is a lot of the guys that are higher end talents in their farm system are in the lower portions of the system. So it's going to take till 2025 until we see some of these guys. And that's where a majority of those pitchers are. And the Rockies, like that's the big problem right now, Rach and DMAC, is the Rockies have nobody to replace Herman Marquez with. Like they don't even have like a nice young player. They've got nothing. They lucked into Noah Davis, and he's already gotten lit up, and we'll see how long that lasts. I don't think it'll last long. So the help in terms of pitching that one day will replace Kyle Freeland and Herman Marquez and replace John Gray and Tyler Anderson, who they've never replaced, that's still 3 years away at minimum.
How's Chris Bryant doing? Say just whatever.
It's really early. We've played a month. But if you were to tell me what Chris Bryant should be getting paid based off what his performance has been, about $5 million a year. And he's being paid, 30. He's been okay. And okay on the Rockies right now has been one of their best players because they have been so bad. He's been just okay. He needs to be, he's paid to be a superstar. And the fact of the matter is, after his second year with Chicago, where he won the National League MVP and they went to the World Series, he's gotten progressively worse every year since.
Here's the big question. How much are tickets going for?
I can tell you because I'm planning my bachelor party, DMAC, right now. And my dad texted me this morning and he said,
Wait. What?
I'm planning my bachelor party. You guys know I'm getting married.
Who are you inviting to your bachelor party?
You can come.
I can't?
DMAC, roll up.
I can give you the list of events.
I can come, so what? Somebody can hang out with your dad?
No, my dad's got his friends coming too. I love my dad's friends. We're going to some Dead shows in Boulder. How
many people are you having?
Well, my bridal party is me and 4 others. And then I'm going to have my dad and his friends. And then I'm going to probably invite about 10 to 15 other people for parts of it. But like, you have to understand, Rachel, this is a 2-day extravaganza. Like, this is not just like a one night out.
Where are we headed on the Jake Shapiro bachelor party?
Well, the whole thing is planned around the Grateful Dead show's 4th of July weekend in Boulder, Colorado. Mm-hmm. So what do we do before then? What do we do after then? So we're going go-kart racing. We're going to a Rockies game. We're going out at night. We're having dinners. All
right, where are we going out at night?
We'll probably hit some of the bars on Colfax near my house that I really like. I don't know if I want to say more than that.
Okay. All right.
But it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. And there are women in my bridal party and people in between. And
wait, there's going to be women at your bachelor party?
I feel like this is very common nowadays.
Whoa. There's going to be women at your bachelor party?
A woman is one of my groom's people. So, yeah.
Okay.
What do they call them now if they're if they're a groomsman? There's like a name for it.
I don't know. We've just been using groom's people and brides people.
Okay. There's like actual names. I can't think of them right off the bat, but I feel like it's very common nowadays that the genders mix for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. But to go back to your question, because I'm buying group tickets to the Rockies game on July 2nd against the Detroit Tigers in the middle of the afternoon, it was $15 for group tickets to the rooftop with a $6 credit to go, spend it however you want. However, I'm going to go on StubHub right now and see what you can get tickets for tonight's game, because last night there was a picture going around that, I don't know, maybe 20 people were there. Yeah, you can get in for $6 tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
$6?
So for $6, you could more or less probably sit wherever you wanted.
And that's not a rooftop seat. That's like third deck, but like right behind home plate, third deck.
Yeah, but like if $6 gets you in the building, nobody's going to be paying attention to where you sit.
Those Coors Field ushers, man. Those are some of the harshest people in town.
They can be, but you just got to sort of work your way through them. You'll find a soft spot. There's no doubt about it. I mean, after the fourth inning, you more or less see who's going to show up for the game. And even those ushers are kind of like, whatever.
I don't know, D-Mac. The whole world of baseball has changed because of these rules. If you're trying to sneak into a section, you might miss an inning and a half because the game's moving so quick now. Fastest
what are club level seats?
I've got it pulled up right here. So this is tonight against the Brewers. You can get into the club. Okay, those are not club seats. That's outfield 200. You can get into the club tonight for $21.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's bananas.
Sit right behind the Rockies dugout for 30.
Oh, apparently D-Mac got a call or something. I'm dying at the comments talking about your bachelor party real quick. It's 2023, D-Mac. I'm a wedding crasher. I'll be there as Robert. Codename strippers. Behind home plate, probably 20. Good one, Paul. And then Rob says, ushers are rough, and they are indeed rough down there at Coors Field. I've been the one that's tried to sneak in a couple places, and man, is it rough.
Yeah.
D-Mac, real quick.
Yes.
I have to know about your bachelor party. I can't do the rest of this show without knowing what you
My
did.
bachelor party kind of sucked. I'm not gonna lie. I was in Buffalo, and I worked with this guy who I hated. I couldn't stand him. But and so I had a radio show, and 3 of the 4 people I worked with I thought were awesome. But the one guy I worked with, I just couldn't stand. And so one of the guys that I worked on the show, a comedian named Rob, was like my best friend, as was Mark Stout, by the way, who's now, on AT&T Sports. So the show was me, Mark Stout, who I love, this guy, Rob, who's a comedian who I loved, and this other guy who I just, I hated his guts. And then we had like traffic people. Back in the 90s, you had like 9 people on a radio show. You had to have people like around to do stuff. It's not like it is now with all this fancy technology. Anyway, I'll never forgive my comedian friend because he guilt tripped the guy that I hated into coming to my wedding, period. And I'm like, why did you even bother with that? So the bachelor party was dominated by this guy that I couldn't stand. And my brother came up from New York City, and we went over to the Canadian side of Niagara Falls because, that's what you do. But it stunk. I had my brother was great. I love seeing him, but this one guy just ruined the entire thing. My entire bachelor party was for like 2 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So the bachelor party to me was terrible. Like everything Jake is doing sounds way better. Inviting and to your point, Jake, one of my best friends is a woman. And she spoke at our wedding, which is the same girl I had this crazy crush on in high school, which that's a deep psychological issue too.
What's
that, Rach?
Is this the same one you took French for?
Yes. Who I'm still friends with to this day. And but I would have had much more fun having her and some other friends of mine from high school just hang out rather than the whole, like, strip bar and all that sort of traditional sort of stuff. And in all honesty, that stuff is pretty much garbage. I didn't have a fun time with any. We did it. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't. You want to see distracted guys. Go to some sort of strip bar, and the attention on you goes away quickly. And all of a sudden, it's really not a party anymore. I don't know what it is. It's just a bunch of creepy guys at a strip bar. So that's what it turned into. We were just in Canada at a creepy place with a bunch of creepy guys. I mean, that wasn't fun. I didn't have a good time with it. So so it sucked. It sucked. But my wedding and my honeymoon kicked ass. I challenge anybody to have a better wedding and honeymoon than I had. Good luck on that one. But my bachelor party was awful.
Where did you go on your honeymoon?
We went to Los Angeles in the middle of the O.J. Simpson debacle, and we went there for 3 days. The reason we went there, the O.J. stuff wasn't the reason we went there. It was just a happy coincidence. So we went to like Mezzaluna, and where O.J. went in Brentwood, and went on kind of a little O.J. tour, and we saw the lawyers. And I mean, believe it or not, we kind of had fun with that, which sounds a little sick. But the reason we went there, it was my wife's lifelong dream to be on The Price is Right. We got on The Price is Right. She won 2 snowmobiles, a vacuum cleaner, and a couch. And even though we lived in Buffalo, we knew we were going to sell it because we lived in the city of Buffalo. We had no use for snowmobiles. We sold the snowmobiles to Jim Kelly of the Buffalo Bills. That happened down the line. We knew we were going to sell them. We went to Hawaii for 10 days, and we didn't look at a price tag for anything because we knew we were going to sell the snowmobiles. So couples massages, helicopter trips, Haleakala Mountain, Mama's Fish House in Maui, catamaran tours. I mean, if you could think it, we did it and had the best time of our lives. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, Jake, The Price is Right. That's how you need to do it so you can get all your Olympic tickets.
That's a tough one to beat, buddy.
I've got the Olympic tickets already. We're good.
How much are Olympic tickets?
I spent I don't care. I spent $1,100 on Olympic tickets already.
Per person or for 2 of them?
For 2 of them, and we've got tickets to 8 events.
That's not bad.
So
wait, where is the Olympics?
France 2024. Me and my fiance will be there for our honeymoon.
That's cool. Now there you go. Listen, you got to have something to do. You can't just go there and do nothing. You got to have something you got to experience. In my opinion, on a honeymoon, you should experience something in life you normally would never do. That's my opinion. So I think that's fantastic.
And we're knocking off a bunch of European sporting bucket list things. She's a huge sports fan too. We're going to see the last stage of the Tour de France, which is going to be from Monaco to Nice.
Awesome.
And we're going to see the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa.
Wow. You know what you're not going to see in France? Messi.
No.
He'll be in Miami.
Good point there, DMAC, which is the perfect way for us to go to in the headlines. Jake, thank you so much for giving DMAC a little bit of a break, but of course all your Rockies updates. And listen in Mile High Podcast every Friday at 1 p.m. Jake, you'll be recording this week. And then let's get into the Kraken and the Dallas Stars. I know we talked a little bit about it at the beginning of the show, though, DMAC. But of course, people are very interested because they want to know what's going to happen now when it comes down to the rest of the series. Dallas is a very good hockey team, but can they bounce back? And will they bounce back, in your opinion? And I know you said you're more of a basketball person, but go with me here on this one, all right?
Well, I don't know if I'm more of a basketball person. My interest, though, decreases that the Avalanche are out of it. I'm not so sure I'd be paying close attention to the NBA if the Nuggets weren't still involved either. I mean, I'm paying attention, but I'm not living and dying. I'm not, oh my God, I've got to watch hockey tonight, because the Avs aren't in it. That being said, I don't know about Dallas. They crushed the Avs in Dallas, and then the Avs had a big win against Dallas. It's hard to say. I think Dallas and the Avs are basically similar teams, so that could mean that the Kraken have a lot of success with a similar type of team. Yep. I'll be. You know what? I'm changing my mind. I don't want to see the Kraken succeed. It's too painful. I just want to believe that the Nichushkin, Landeskog, everybody being hurt was too much, That's it. The end. I want to believe that. Forget about the Kraken. Let's go Stars. I don't want. I think the better the Kraken do, the more painful it's going to be.
See, I'm the complete opposite. I'm like, all right, we lost. Now I just want to lose to the champions, which that would just be crazy. Your first ever playoff series and you somehow win the cup. I don't anticipate it happening, but holy smokes, would that be insane? But I would rather them just win and say we lost the champs. It is what it is. Malone said that a few days ago when he was talking about the Warriors. He said, we eventually lost to the champions. I would much rather see that than them be like, oh yeah, this Kraken get knocked out, and everyone's just like, well, you should have beat the Kraken. You were the defending Stanley Cup champions.
All right. I mean, to each his own. The one team I'm kind of pulling for is the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Panthers.
No, why do I care about them? I think it was ridiculous how so many people in Toronto were so excited about going past the first round, but it had been 19 years since they got past the first round, so okay. But to me, like, celebrating that much after going through one round, it's like having a second place parade. But I love our guy Orlando. Orlando's from Toronto. He's a big Leafs fan. So I found out yesterday, he says folks from Toronto are Torontonians. So I've been to Toronto a bunch of times. I love Orlando. Ryan O'Reilly, who I really like, is now on the Leafs. So if there's any team that I'm pulling for, it's actually going to be the Leafs. But they lost. They lost the Panthers last night.
True. I thought you were going to say the Panthers for sure. I see people
Why?
in the comments. I don't know. I just thought you were going to say it.
I don't think teams in Florida should even have hockey teams. I'm definitely not rooting for the Panthers.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hot statement right there. Warriors, Lakers. After watching game one between those two teams, are you still on the track that you would rather see the Warriors? I think that's what you said yesterday.
Yeah, I'd rather see the Warriors. They're a terrible road team. They're a dysfunctional team. They do have talent. But actually, did I say the Lakers? I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I seriously, honest to God, don't care. I think the Nuggets are better than both teams. It does not matter to me which team they play. I think the Warriors scare me just a pinch more. We saw what they did coming from behind. It's a little scary, but they're way too dysfunctional to win this year. And I think the Lakers will eventually crack. I'm impressed that the Lakers got much better as the year went on. I mean, much, much better. They were a disaster in the beginning of the year. But I'm not afraid for the Nuggets' sake of either team. I'm not saying it's easy. I would basically take Nuggets in 6 against the Warriors or Lakers.
In 6, huh?
Yeah, I think 6. I think that makes the most sense. I mean, you're down 3-2 and you just lose. And by the way, Rachel, the last time before COVID, pre-bubble, that the Nuggets made it to the conference finals was against the Lakers, and they did lose at 6. And they actually lost Game 6 at home, and they got blown off the court. So they were down 3-2, and you think, oh, here's the fire, here's the excitement. I think they lost by 20 in that game. I mean, because they just knew they weren't going to win. Their spirit had been taken out of them. So I'm seeing a same sort of thing against the Warriors or the Lakers. Either way.
How long do you think this series is going to go between the two California teams over there? Is it going to just be quick and easy, or do you think it's going to go down to 7?
I think it's going to go to 7. I think they're going to beat the crap out of each other. I think what you saw last night is basically going to happen the entire series.
The LeBron-Steph concept and like what the media is doing with this, I think also really just makes it very entertaining. Like, we can talk about the big stars, and that's what gets people interested, right? When you have a player like LeBron and you have a player like Steph Curry go head to head, you're going to get a lot of people who are going to tune in just to see that matchup. And then, of course, you have the drama with the 3-1 and the cookies and the Halloween party and whatever. Or was it a Halloween party or birthday party? One of the two with LeBron. I think you're going to see a lot of big numbers watching this series, and I think it's going to be great for the Denver Nuggets, and hopefully it does go 7.
Yeah, I hope so too. Let's go Nuggets, and let's get an NBA. Let's get somebody on a fire truck in June, at a parade. and the Nuggets have a great chance. I mean, it's pretty awesome, Rachel. They're 6-1 right now in the playoffs, 6-1, and a couple of close games. But their margin of victory has actually been really, really good. So, I mean, it's been great. It's been a great playoff run so far. And I like they have a couple of days off too. And they should be playing tonight. And they're not only are they not playing tonight, they're not playing tomorrow. I mean, they're getting so much rest. It's ridiculous.
We were in the locker room following game 2, and a player, he was asking, he's like, when do we play again? And we were all like, Friday. And he was like, really, Friday? Like, it's so far away. We were like, yeah. And he was like, it's because they're old. And I just cannot get that out of my head. It's so funny that he was just like, because they're old. And that was his reasoning as to why there was going to be so many days of rest for them.
Well, the rest is not about, you would say, oh, it's good for the Suns to whatever. I don't think so. I think it's more anxiety for the Suns. I think it's way better for the Nuggets. Way better. So I think, listen, I think they win 3. I think they lose 4, and then they win 5. And that's that. But, I mean, without Chris Paul, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if the Nuggets just swept him.
True. And Calvin Booth was tied for 3rd for Executive of the Year.
Who did he lose to?
Starts with an M. Jake, give me the name. I can't remember.
Well, what teams did he lose to, I guess?
Hold on.
Sorry.
No, you're good. This came out right before. The Kings. Sacramento Kings. Yes.
Right.
Monte McNair. See, I knew it started with an M. This came out right before we started coffee break.
So he lost to the Kings and somebody else became in 3rd. That sort of thing.
Tied for 3rd. Good for him.
I mean, all right, whatever. I mean, good for Calvin Booth. It's a great honor, probably, just to be in the top 3. He had an amazing inaugural year as the GM of the team. He was given a lot of solid building blocks by Tim Connolly, for sure. But this is not the same team without Bruce Brown, Christian Brown, and KCP. So those 3 additions have been absolutely critical. The Reggie Jackson, Thomas Bryant things, okay, those were whiffs. But, it's okay to have those type of whiffs. You moved on from Bones Highland. Who even thinks about Bones Highland anymore? I mean, you forget that he was even on the team.
Yep. Some other news that came out in our group chat since we started coffee break. The Bengals have signed quarterback Trevor Siemian to a 1-year deal. Interesting. And then the Texans are signing veteran tight end Eric Tomlinson.
Trevor Siemian is quietly putting together like a 10-year plus NFL career. I mean, I just thought he was going to be the best softball player as an account executive for an insurance firm for the rest of his life. So good for Trevor Siemian. Nothing is better once you're no longer a starting quarterback. Once you're not there, nothing is better to milk the backup job for years and years and years.
Just ride the bench. You still get paid.
Ride the bench, because if you're somebody like Siemian or Josh Johnson, you're just a calm, reliable guy that, if you have to take a few snaps, fine, but you're not a distraction and you're a good balance to whatever young quarterback you actually have.
Yeah.
So, and you're not going to get hurt. And, look at Josh Johnson. He's played for like 17 teams in 15 years. I mean, something just absolutely absurd. Well, every one of those years, Rachel, is $1 million plus.
Yep.
So good for Trevor. That's awesome.
Good
Trevor's
for him.
a good dude. I like Trevor. I always had great interactions with him. He's a really good dude. And as we look back on it, he's the most successful quarterback we've had after Peyton Manning.
Okay.
Well, I mean, who else?
You said after Peyton Manning. I think
after Peyton Manning.
Okay, I thought you were saying like Peyton Manning and then like right underneath him what you were putting Trevor Siemian.
After Peyton Manning.
I see. I took that the wrong way and I was like, D-Mac, maybe the cold is getting to you a little bit, but I get what you're saying. Yes.
All right. How about this for a little test? How many quarterbacks can you name after Peyton Manning?
Siemian, Case Keenum. Why am I blanking after Case Keenum?
Joe Flacco.
Thank you. Joe Flacco, Drew Lock, Russell Wilson, obviously, and I'm missing like how many more?
You're
5
missing
more?
some quirky ones. You're missing Brock Osweiler came back. Mark Sanchez was here for a cup of coffee in training camp.
True.
But he was here. They thought he was going to be the starter.
Yeah.
Then you got, that guy from Arkansas. When he was at Arkansas, the fans hated him so much they lit his truck on fire. That guy. And then you got, oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name. Allentown. I'm forgetting his name.
Rippin too, which
Rippin, yeah.
Sorry to Brett, just mixed you in the mix. Yeah, everyone else saying Wilson, Flacco, Brock, Sanchez. Yeah. We've gone through a lot. Isn't it is it 11 or 12 total?
It's something crazy like that.
It's insane.
It is seriously, and there's some lower level guys, but then there's some higher premium guys like Keenum and Flacco, and Simeon was better than all those guys.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I just block out the Flacco memories.
Paxton Lynch. Paxton Lynch.
Oh yeah, you're not wrong. Dang. They've gone through a bunch. Let's hope that Wilson can just come back and we can have a better year and we don't have to worry about the quarterback anymore. But
Teddy Bridgewater. Oh my God, we forgot Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh my gosh. We did forget Teddy B, and I loved Teddy B.
Jeff Driscoll was another one. See, our viewers.
I know, they're fantastic.
So,
oh my God, I can't believe we forgot Teddy Bridgewater.
I mean, Blake Bortles was there. I mean, it's just, and all those guys, there's more than a dozen sort of guys. Yeah. And Simeon was the best out of all those guys. Crazy.
That is. Paxton was a QB god. Paxton Lynch, what a dude. Rick Lobster was awful. What am I missing? Oh, Kendall Hinton too. Technically, you have to count him.
Well, technically, if we want to get technical,
yes, he didn't take the first snap, so he wasn't the starting QB, which is.
But he did play quarterback, so that's what we're talking about. So yes, so technically, it's Philip Lindsay and Kendall Hinton.
Ugh, it pisses me off. Oh yeah, and then Chad Kelly.
But he never. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. He was here.
He was there.
He was there.
Gosh, so funny. Yeah. You guys are the best in the comments. We appreciate it because sometimes the Teddy B one, the fact that slipped our minds.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yep, that one QB after Manning. All right. Well, we see all the comments. D-Mac, I'm going to let you go rest your voice because I know you have a 4-hour show today. So drink some coffee, drink some tea, some water, hydrate yourself, and hopefully we'll have you back on here tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. for another episode of Coffee Break. We'll see everybody then. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Bye, everyone.